It's one thing to talk about flow numbers on a flow bench. It's something else to talk about chassis dyno numbers. And it's entirely different about the results that you get at the drag strip. Today, we talk about all three. Stay tuned. So it's pretty common to talk about flow bench numbers on a YouTube channel. It's pretty common to talk about chassis dyno numbers on a YouTube channel. And it's pretty common to talk about drag strip results. But today we're going to talk about all three and show the correlation between the three and show you what we came up with. So when David said that we had a set of AFR new Enforcer LS3 style heads to test, I thought, I've got an idea. I'm going to call my buddy Sammy. David and I wanted to do something completely different with this AFR cylinder head test. We wanted to bring you the flow numbers that we've seen on the flow bench. We want to be able to bring you chassis dyno numbers that we witnessed at the rear wheels. And then we wanted to bring you drag strip ETs from the drag strip. In order to do this, I knew that there was only one person that I could call on to make this happen. Sammy Pacehour. Boost is my friend. You've seen him in my videos before. Well, he has this little S10 pickup truck that he's dubbed Work Truck. And it has an LS3 based engine in it. 416 cubic inches with a turbo 400. A Ford 8.8 with 355 gears. Now, this truck gets down. It runs the 8th mile, 650 range on motor now, mind you. But the key to that is it weighs like 2,900 pounds, give or take. What I would give for Casper to weigh that. We decided that this was going to be a multi-channel collaboration between Boost is my friend, Nigel from Nigels Chassis, he's the tuning guy, myself, and David Vizard. So 4 channels to bring you this type of content and give you the most accurate real-world results that we possibly could. So here's how things went. I took the initial set over of AFR heads over to Sammy's house for him to swap out on the work truck. What's up, LS boy?
How's it going?
Let's see what we got in here.
Look at these presents right here.
Oh my God,
man! It's like I'm like a kid in a candy store.
Look at that! It's Christmas in February.
I'm telling you.
So this is the work truck, folks.
Yeah, this. If you look at this bed, this truck is the work truck. It ain't nothing special. It's always been the lowest dollar thing that we have to spend money on. Stock suspension stuff. It's a 416. It has a Liberty crank. It has some Cali's rods. It's got a CP piston in it. It's the heads are stock ported head. They're just stock ports on the head. The heads have been decked because the last motor was a low compression piston. So I'm pretty sure we took 40 thousandths off of it. We're going to measure them because we're going to make those the same.
Yeah. So Sammy and I were talking to make this as much of a A/B test as possible. As soon as he gets these heads off, we're going to CC the chambers, find out what they are, and then we're going to shave the AFRs to match. That way we eliminate that variable.
We're going to eliminate it. But like I said, it's a stock PCM. I'm going to send it. Nigel has always done my tuning. So Nigel ST is his YouTube channel.
I'll put it in the channel.
I was saying about small tire for some reason. But it's Nigel ST is his YouTube channel. But he's the one that always does my tuning. It's a stock computer. Like I said, the wiring harness ain't nothing pretty. It's got a little bit of nitrous on it with a little plate on it. So this thing has Monroes on the front of it. I mean, it is legit. No suspension to it other than having cow tracks on it and an 8.8 under it. This thing had...
Say that again, you got a Ford part on this thing?
Yeah, so with this truck, Turbo 400, it's got an FTI converter in it. It was a Yanks converter FTI restalled. I don't even know the stall speed on it. I bought it secondhand.
It just works.
I bought it secondhand off Facebook Marketplace.
It just works, folks.
So like I said, this thing right here has just been like a little street truck.
Once he got them swapped out, I picked up his LS3 stock head. It's a casting number 821. Folks, these things are awesome. Now, I'm not an LS guy, but I can see why people gravitate towards this engine, because this head is extremely good as cast from GM. My only complaint is this cylinder head is a little too big. What this reminds me of, between looking at this and the older cathedral ports, this is actually an 806 casting. The way I view this is pretty much a Cleveland style head, and that's pretty much like your mundane Windsor. Now, you GM guys will probably hate on me for saying that, but that's just the way I see it. These big ports move some big air, as cast, big valve, and we're going to get into the results that we witnessed when we compared the new AFR Enforcer, show you the flow numbers, what they mean, how we interpret them, and go from there. When Charlie Servideo was up here from Florida, he actually flow tested this head, him and his daughter Carla, and then I flow tested the stock head. We run them through David's IOP program, and let's get into the results of what we see on the bench here. So just comparing flow numbers, you really can't tell much difference between the two heads, other than the fact that the new AFR head beats it in certain areas and excels in the upper lift ranges. But flow numbers itself does not tell the story. You really need to look at the discharge coefficient to find out how efficient the port is and its potential for making power. Looking at this number, you can see the tell that the AFR is a much more efficient port, and that's due because as I measured the stock casting, which was 258 cc intake runner compared to the 238 cc runner with a 208 valve versus a 2.165 valve, you can see that the efficiency swings into AFR favor. It is obvious that AFR did an extremely good job designing these cylinder heads, even though it's up against a very competent stock competitor. So now we know the flow results that we've seen. We were guessing just as how much power the AFR head was actually going to be worth over the stock head. And we had Charlie guessing 30 horsepower. I think I guessed like 15 horsepower, and David was like 20, 25. Basically, I'm going to show you the dyno results, and then we'll talk about that. So that's pretty interesting to find out what actually happened at the rear wheels. You see that it had really good power gain down low, all the way up to about 5,400 RPM, and then it diverged, it nosed over, and then the stock head continued, and then it nosed over, but the AFR continued flatline. So now, how do you interpret those results? Now, based off of the flow numbers that we achieved with the cylinder head and the efficiency of the cylinder head, David and I come to the conclusion that basically we feel that the camshaft that's in this truck is wrong. Now, there'll probably be a bunch of hate about this, but I will explain it, because this goes back to one of my earlier videos about LSA and camshafts. Now, the camshaft that's in Sammy's truck, I'm going to put a picture of it up. As you can see, it's a older discontinued Brian Tooley racing camshaft. It's ground on a 114 LSA. Now the LS guys will say, well, that's normal. LS loves wide LSAs. Well, with the big valve combination head, apparently it did, but once we put the smaller 208 AFR head on there, we believe that in order to get the max potential out of this, I think a cam swap is in order. So David and I have been talking about camshafts and having a camshaft ground to test in Sammy's truck to see what we actually come up with. So now that we have flow numbers, efficiency, discharge coefficient, so on and so forth, and chassis dyno numbers, what does it all add up to at the drag strip? Because ultimately, the flow bench and the chassis dyno are just means to an end. They are tools in your tool belt to help you get success at the racetrack. Because the ET slip is what matters at the end of the day.
Heck yeah.
Alright, Caden, there ain't no pressure on your next run. You gotta lay the hammer down, alright?
We're gonna try.
Now you've got to get some good runs because we are all counting on you, including
no pressure.
including the guys at AFR, right?
Yeah.
They're counting on you to do a professional job.
Oh yeah.
So you
I got
screw
it.
it
Well,
up.
you heard
Screw
what
it
he
up, and we're
said.
gonna
Pro
beat
mod
your ass
driver.
to Timbuktu.
Hey, we're gonna do it.
Give it
Ain't
up,
nothing to
brother.
do it but to do it.
That's alright.
Get it together in the next one. But anyways, we ended up going 143, same 60 foot as last week, but we picked up 800s, so it has to be in the 104 mile an hour range.
So as you can see, there wasn't much difference in the ETs at the drag strip. Now mind you, when you're going this fast, 20 horsepower gain is going to be very minor difference in the ET and mile per hour at the drag strip. Because percentage wise, that's not that much of a gain. But it does show that these cylinder heads have a ton of promise. And as far as getting a set of these and having them reworked and put new valve springs on and having valve jobs done, yeah, that's fine. But by the time that you do all that, you can actually end up with the AFR Enforcer Head. Now, mind you, Sammy's engine was 416 cubic inches. With the stock head, it still lost torque to the Enforcer at the rear wheels. So if you have a smaller engine like a 6.0 or 6.2, that Enforcer is going to be the way to go because it's going to be a more efficient head on that smaller cubic inch versus having this monster on there. Another point that I want to touch on is the level that we went to make sure that things were dead equal for this type of testing that we were doing. Sammy had the cylinder head CC'd that he took off. They were 62 cc's. we actually cut the AFR heads to match, to make sure that the compression ratio was exactly the same, and that would not play into as a variable in this test, because when you're doing this type of testing, trying to get all of the variables out of the equation as much as possible is the key to getting good results. It's like the old saying, if you put junk data in, you're going to get junk data out. So I hope you like this video. I hope you like this little collaboration between Sammy, David, Nigel, and myself. And make sure you go to those other channels and watch them, and you can see their perspective on this cylinder head swap and what they went through. And you can watch David if you really want more hardcore tech pertaining to the cylinder head. And I think that about wraps it up on my end. So until next time, this is Andy from Unity Motorsports Garage. I will catch you later. Maybe next time we'll test the camshaft. And no, I'm not an LS guy.